Well, John Vake, you've had a very, very busy schedule. Birmingham one week, back here the next, and off to Perth in the weekend for Eternal 68. Man, how has the last few weeks been for you?
Great. It's been a mad experience, especially coming off COVID and having a long period of inactivity. So, although it's quite busy, I'm grateful for it because it was a time when we were in lockdown, maybe just a year ago, and I didn't know when I was going to be in. And now I have a busy schedule. I can't complain.
Tell us a little bit about the Commonwealth Games, how that opportunity came around, and what it was like getting over there to compete.
It was a good opportunity. What happened was they let me know that Tonga was taking a team, and I was like, cool. And they said if I would like to try and qualify for that. The original qualifications to get over for each country is you normally have to go to Oceanias, which is like the tournament in our side of the world. What happened was that Oceanias was cancelled due to COVID earlier this year, so they kind of all went to Australian Nationals. So Oceanias became Australian Nationals this year, and we all went over. So I went over there to compete. I ended up winning the Australian Nationals and qualifying to go to the Games.
How was it over there though? What was the level of wrestling like? Was it as expected, higher than expected?
It's weird. I feel like it was as expected, but higher than expected. Like you can theorize how much of a jump it's going to be. Obviously, competing at Oceanias or Australian Nats, I had okay, it's going to be a step above, and I had a theory of how good they were going to be. But going over there, they were as expected, and it was just different feeling it. Like you knew they were going to be that good, and then feeling that good. It was a great experience.
I guess we won't dwell too much on the Com Games because that's gone now, but just what was it like to be a major event in a combat sport? Like, did you ever think that you'd find yourself in that position?
Yeah, strangely I did. It was always kind of on the bucket list. I didn't think it was going to happen this one, but it was a dream of mine to go there. Getting that last minute call up to go over, it was amazing. Everything you can expect in the Commonwealth Games village is what it was. Top of the line athletes, top of the line care. You had physio, chiro, ice bath, whatever an athlete would need to perform, they had. It was an amazing experience. I think probably the most memorable one would be the opening ceremony. You got to see the Prince Charles came and things that you don't realize how big the magnitude is until you see the royal family show up, and the closing was cool too. UB40 was there, so it was just I didn't know the magnitude until I got there. I feel like I'm still processing it, even now, a week later. But I think there'll be something to do when time's up and I get to sit back a little later.
Yeah, I suppose you got something else to focus on this weekend, heading over to Perth, back in the Eternal Cage. It's pretty nice to see that so many of the New Zealand athletes are now getting back over there, getting into these Eternal Fight Nights, and this time around we got 4 guys from City Kickboxing getting involved. Just what does it mean to you to see not only yourself get another opportunity to fight someone who you don't see on a regular basis, to actually get out and test yourself against other countries?
I think it's amazing because there was a time when COVID had hit and there was that period of inactivity. Only the UFC guys had secure employment. Obviously, being so big, they had promotions that could maneuver around the restrictions that COVID hit. And then the rest of us, which is the other 75% of the gym, was stuck in this. So the cool thing was knowing that I wasn't the only one in the same scenario. I wasn't the only one sharing the frustration of wanting to compete and wanting to get over there. Especially the 4 that coming over the Eternal, they were in a unique scenario because they couldn't really compete anywhere else but the step before the big show. And since COVID had hit, we were kind of 3 years of in a lag where you were damn, we're so close, but we feel so far because we can't compete. And time's the most precious thing, you can never get time back. So the fact that we all get an opportunity, all 4 of us were in the same scenario as me, it wasn't just me. We all get an opportunity to go out there and perform, which is what we asked for. I think it's an amazing opportunity. To me, no shot, probably a little bit bigger than the Com Games for me right now.
No, that's cool. And you mentioned, time being the most precious thing, which is a very beautiful way to put it, especially in a sporting sense, where you know the old saying that sports people die twice. First they retire, and then obviously things after that. But in a sport like this, where longevity isn't really your best friend, like just how has it been sort of navigating those past couple of years?
I guess finding the best way to continue to move forward. I think for me anyway, the way that I could handle it was if I could consistently get better, there's still a shot. I think if I had stopped, then probably would have, like, you know what they say about rivers that go stale, as long as you stop moving. The good thing about having the UFC boys stay active over the last few years is that you got to make sure that your progression is actually working, because guys are getting better, guys are competing. I saw over that last 3 years, I've seen like 2 world champions come through, and Kai fight for his one, and so at least you kind of know if you're getting better in your craft. And as cliche as it sounds, I just had to focus on getting better every day, and that kind of allowed the buy time. Still didn't make up for the frustration not being able to compete, but I've been just focusing on getting in the gym, staying amongst the boys and getting better.
You mentioned the UFC boys. I know quite often, and over these last couple of years in particular, they like to take some of the guys from here. I know you've been on one of these trips yourself, at least one, where they kind of bring you in and show you what the UFC is all about and how a fight week goes. So what do you learn from an experience like that?
Just the process of thought. I guess the way that they handle being under pressure, the way they handle like a big week like that. If they change anything, like, because you see them every day, so then when they go over, is it different now? Has the flat white turned into a mocha or like something like that, But what I figured out was it's very much the same. They just do the same thing. What we're doing here is working. They go over there and you just do the same thing in a different country. Except they learn to enjoy it a little bit more. Like over here, sometimes we can be a little bit mundane. Another Monday, another Tuesday, which is like a human trait. It's not like, it's like everyone's susceptible for that. But when you go over there, you feel like, man, I'm really here and I'm representing this place. And so you get to do the same thing you do Monday, but over there, you do a little bit more jumpy, and you enjoy the week a little bit more. Yeah.
How was that week over in Vegas ahead of Izzy's fight? 'Cause I know you guys had the house, you were all very much working as a team, as opposed to what most people would go over, just select few people kind of working down toward fight week. But man, there were a bunch of you guys over there.
Yeah, it was a massive crew. Maybe like 20 of us went over. And we just fed off each other, like fed off the energy Izzy had for the week and Alex had for the week, and Brad was there, and all just kind of uplifting each other. And like I said before, they're doing the same thing that happened on Monday. We're doing the same thing that happened on Monday. So everyone was just feeding each other. We didn't really do anything different over there. They were continuing to do what they were doing during fight week. And since we all were hoping to compete or lock down fights, and a couple of us had fights at that time, and I had the Commonwealth Games coming up, we just continued to run our program there. And it was so cool to see like international City Kickboxing, like we're in the UFC PI, doing what you would normally see here on a Wednesday night. If you walk here on Wednesday night, 6:45, we're doing a certain type of training, and we did the exact training in the UFC PI. I think Izzy talked about looking over and being like, holy, we're really here, and it kind of made you feel like home away from home. Yeah.
I know Izzy mentioned that very similarly what you just talked about, looking over, seeing the guys and like realizing the gym is here. Like you've been a part of this gym for quite a while now. Like, just how does it feel to hear people call you guys the best team in the world?
Almost too good to be true at times, because I know, and this, knowing Eugene, he doesn't behave like it. We very much behave like we have something to prove every time. We have something to represent. So to us, being within it doesn't feel we don't feel like the rewards of being the #1 gym. We still feel like we've got something to prove and there's a lot left to do. I feel like a lot of the younger guys might have a different say, I'm not going to say anything, but like the newer, like within a year or two, I think they bask in the glory of, I'm at the #1 gym. The whole Hollywood story, I quit my job and came here. But like the guys that are still very much the spine of the gym, we still have a lot more work to do. We feel like we're not at our capacity.
We got this fight this week. What are you expecting over there? I know Eternal's a very good card. Obviously, UFC Fight Pass picked it up not long ago. Everyone sort of looks at Eternal as the top of the Australasian region for fights. What are you expecting from your opponent when you get in there?
I'm fighting a good guy, and I'm quite glad about that, because like we were saying, you can't go back in time. I want someone to be able to compete against, and that's what I asked for in the Commonwealth Games going over there, was being able to compete against some of the top level athletes. So for me, I'm expecting to compete against one of the best guys in Australasia. I respect him like that. I'll treat him like that, and we'll see how the fight goes from there.
How is it for you to be on a card with your brother as well? I was talking to him before, and he didn't think it would be something that came up, because you're both welterweights. You'd probably have to weight different cards and end up fighting similar people.
Yeah, amazing. It's so good to be able to do it with him. I kind of feel like it gives me a sense of responsibility, just especially coming in there. Everything that I'm saying to you, I got a role model, because I got somebody with me. I think it keeps me sharper. And yeah, I feel like for me, before I used to always be like fighting with a group of family. It used to be like, oh, I'd rather my card and then your card and my card, and we can like pass the baton. But it's weird, it's changed for me. I'd rather fight with my brother all the time. Yeah, we'd just share it for as long as. But maybe he's a bit different, he's a bit younger than me. He might want their main event spot or whatever. But as long as for me, I would like to share this. Like, I'll kind of keep him close. So yeah, no complaints here.
And he fought not long ago. How was it for you being back in the same building where Fao had his last fight?
Very emotional. I never said this to anyone, but like I found myself leaving the locker room a lot of times. Just it's things you got to face, you know. Like there's got to be a first time, you know, like the first birthday or the first this, and the first fight after he gone, which was James's fight, happened to be in the same locker room where his last one was. And yeah, I don't know if it'll ever get easier, but I'm proud that me and him faced it, because if you think about it, not many people would ever come back from such an event, but to come back and get ready for a cage fight is a whole different story. And now we're coming back to fight, not just in any cage fight now, at what you're saying, the stepping stone towards the UFC, the biggest comp in Australasia. We're just grateful that we're even here.
I don't want to dwell too much on it. I know you guys have had to deal with this so much over the last couple of years, but I mean, how has it been for your family seeing just how much Fao meant to all these guys when they're paying tribute to him after their fight, on their way to the fight, and all those kinds of things?
Very proud. I think that's the best way I could say it. It's just how proud I am of him and the life that he lived and the impact that he made. And for me and James, I know both of us, what we're trying to do is make him proud and do the thing the righteous way. And we had a conversation about, because we knew that we didn't need, like after that scenario, there was nothing expected of us. And I think that's what I love about this gym. They didn't expect us to do anything but just be what we need to be, and they want to support that. It was a choice for us to come back, and I think the choice came back down to doing the righteous thing, which was how do we make him proud. And I know he'll be proud looking back. It's only been just over a year, and me and him are back at the Eternal card trying to compete to get back in there. And like I said to James, it was a dream of ours, and how blessed are we to be in the reality and not the dream, man.
Yeah, man. And you know, MMA has grown in leaps and bounds over the past few years down this end of the world. It seems like, you know, we had that UFC Auckland card, Eternal, the night before. The momentum was there, and then COVID just kind of took the legs out of it. There's been so many new fans find the sport over the past few years. For those watching Eternal this weekend who've known your name but haven't been able to see you fight, what are they going to see?
I think the best version of myself. We heard that it was kind of cliche, you know, to say like you're going to get the best me, but I don't know, I feel like just because of the way that life has given me, COVID hitting and taking the legs out, and then obviously the tragedy that happened on my family, and deciding to come back here, it's matured me as a person, it's matured me as a fighter, and I feel like it's made me a better fighter. Like, how could someone come back from all of that and be worse off? So I'm expecting a new version of myself, just one that starts again with a bit more experience and a little bit more grateful.
So man, I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for the time, and I hope all goes to plan at the weekend.
Cool, thanks Chris.